This is video from Georgetown, taken a short time before Hurricane Ian made landfall for a second time, first in Florida, and this time days later in South Carolina as a Category 1 hurricane. The storm came ashore just south of Georgetown around 2 o'clock this afternoon, leaving localized areas of flooding, downed trees, and thousands of people around the state without power. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us for Friends at 5 on this Friday. I'm Darcy Strickland.
And I'm Andrea Mock. And just like Darcy just said, Hurricane Ian officially made landfall earlier today, but now it is a post-tropical cyclone, and we certainly are feeling its effects here in the Midlands. So we got to check in with one of our experts. Chief Meteorologist Efren Afonte has certainly been monitoring this situation. And, you know, Efren, watching the power of this storm and the power of water today has just been an incredible thing. Efren, one thing that we have seen again and again today is just, we were talking about the power of water. And you've been talking about the storm surge for days. We know that the Pawleys Island Pier has been destroyed. The Cherry Grove Pier has been destroyed. What is it about the force of water in a hurricane that gives it the power to do something like that? Well, Efren, that was a really good analogy. You just taught me something, like a kid in the bathtub pushing it. It's got to rush in and then it rushes back out.
Exactly. Let's talk about this flood advisory, because I know people are going to be concerned about that as well, Efren, as we move through this evening.
All right, Efren, thank you so much. Now we want to check in with our friends down in Orangeburg. We know it has been very busy this week with folks evacuating from Florida, going up 26, finding a place in Orangeburg, and now we know there's been some damage there.
Nija Hood joins us now live with the latest on what's going on in Orangeburg. Nija.
Well, Andrea, Darcy, actually, since we just spoke, we were actually told that most of the polarizing damage that we've seen is actually here in Holly Hill. And so we packed up, moved right here to Holly Hill. I want to show you the extent of the damage that we're seeing in this area. Take a look at that tree behind me, completely split into pieces. You could see that branch over there tangled up into the power lines. Damage so extensive it actually pulled down that power line off the roof of this home here. Now, the reason why I'm told the damage is so extensive in the eastern part of Orangeburg County is because of all the low lines in this community. A lot of the residential homes, businesses are very close to the ground, and so they experience the most flooding, the most storm damage. Historically, they've experienced a lot of damage over storms that have happened over the past several years in this community. In fact, I had the pleasure of speaking with the homeowner of this home right here. His name is Tommy Berkins. He's lived here for 16 years and has actually lived through 6 hurricanes while here in Holly Hill. I'm here with him right now. Tommy, how are you feeling today?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Absolutely. And so what was going through your mind when you saw this morning?
Well, I'm surprised to see that when it came down, but it's one of those things that you have to expect when hurricanes come through, and just try to prepare for it the best you can. And when you see something like that, you just try to regroup and go right ahead and continue with life. So.
Absolutely. And you mentioned that you and your family have lost power. When did you notice you've lost power, and how are you guys making do now?
Well, we're using a generator right now for power, and we lost power a couple hours ago when the tree came down. But it was a lot of warning signs that things was going to happen because the power was going off and on constantly. But didn't think something like this was going to happen. Large tree this close to home was going to come down. It came down from the neighbor's yard, and it's, barely missed my house, and I'm so glad it did. So.
Well, thankfully, you and your family are safe. Thank you so much for taking this time to speak with us today, Tommy. Really appreciate it. Andrea and Darcy, I'm going to send it back to you in the studio.
All right, Nija, thank you so much. It's always a concern with those external power lines in older neighborhoods. The power lines haven't been grounded, and I'm sure you just have to be patient now until they work to get them restored.
We're going to go from Orangeburg now over to Sumter County as we continue our team coverage. That's where we find Becky Buds, who just a few hours ago was on a road that had a very large tree across it. Becky, what are you seeing at this point?
Darcy, I'm here now on Main Street in downtown Sumter, where the rain has let up a bit, but the wind has not. Take a look at these flags here at this hotel. They're still blowing. The palm trees are still blowing strong too with the wind, and same with the awnings on some of these businesses here in downtown. Downtown's been pretty slow today. A lot of people closed due to the weather, and they were preparing for more widespread flooding with the rain. Luckily, roads have remained dry. As you can see at this business, they've set up about 8 sandbags along here because they say normally floodwaters can go all the way up to the door. I spoke with Martha Grinnell. She's a resident from Sumter who works at one of these businesses. Take a listen to what she had to say about it.
Early on, it wasn't as bad, but now it looks like the weather's getting a little bit, so we will be closing shortly, maybe around 3 o'clock. But we have these sandbags here because usually right in the front of our door, it floods out. But right now, it's looking pretty good, but
And power has remained stable here, at least in downtown. There were some down power lines that we saw earlier today, but with the roads being dry, we've seen a little bit more traffic traveling here. But we'll keep you posted. I'm going to send it back to you in the studio, Darcy and Andrea, live in Sumter. I'm Becky Buds, News 19 WLTX.
All right, glad to see at least one area of the Midlands is a little dry right now. Thank you so much, Becky. We'll check in a little bit.
What we've noticed is that the eastern part of the Midlands are the counties that have been most impacted. The folks over in Fairfield County, Lexington County, even parts of Richland County haven't seen very much. But if you head down 26 and go into Charleston,
different story.
Yes, it is a very different story, and that's where our team coverage continues. News 19's Walker Lawson is there to give us an update on what he's seeing at this hour. I know you and Kaylin have been there all day, and it looks like there's still a tremendous amount of flooding behind you, Walker.
Absolutely, Darcy. I mean, conditions have improved here in Charleston, but if you take a look behind me, this is just one of many streets that's flooded, and Ian has left his damage. There are multiple trash cans. This is just one of many that have fallen over, but I actually want to take you over here because as many people are starting to venture out, they're coming out and trying to get gas, and a lot of these gas pumps are covered. Earlier, I spoke with one person who was trying to get out to see his family. This is what he had to say.
I was trying to get gas on over on King Street, but it was closed. This gas station's closed. Then I was going to visit my dad's place. He lives on Lumble, and there was a huge tree that fell. I actually have a picture of it, but it was hard to get over there. And then this street's obviously hugely flooded, but yeah, it's been hard. It's been a rough day.
And as he said, that it's really left behind water. We've seen trees down again. So we're asking people and law enforcement as well to please not go out. I know a lot of people are trying to see what it looks like out here, but you don't know what's under that water. And, you know, when it gets dark out, it's going to be difficult to see the roadways. So that's how things are going here from Charleston. I'm going to send things back to you guys in studio.
Walker, thank you so much. And we know at one point today it was so bad in Charleston. Charleston EMS and Isle of Palms Police both had to send out messages saying, listen, we're temporarily stopping our rescues. Do not call. We will not be able to come to get you right now. Hunker down in place. Do not go out in this because we are unable to safely get out of the police station or the EMS station to come and do rescues.
I don't think people think about the fact that another group of first responders are the people who put our power back on.
Yes.
And so they are also the ones that once wind gusts get up to 30 miles per hour, which we heard during the governor's press conference, they can't go out and do any work. So there's a lot happening. We know at last check there were hundreds of thousands of people statewide without power, and residents in Charleston are in that number.
Yeah, they are. About 170,000 people at last check across our state without power. Now, the good news is with all this mess we have been seeing in Charleston, the rain is easing up there just a little bit, hoping those floodwaters can recede. Let's check in with News 19's Kaylin Hagwood, who's also in Charleston tonight.
Here in downtown Charleston, the rain has started to slow down, but the floodwaters remain. I want you guys to take a look behind me where these business parking lots really starting to see that rising water there. They have these signs downtown where you can actually see exactly how high the water has risen. Here, just next to us, you see it's almost at a foot high in this parking lot. So certainly a concern, a car there stuck in the water, their tires underneath and not able to move. And while we talk about that, we still see some cars moving through the area, moving through that water weather. Again, officials warning against that. And for the most part, we have not seen very many cars out here. But as that rain starts to slow down, we are starting to see more people coming out, peeking their heads out, trying to learn more about what it looks like, maybe taking a video for their social media. And again, law enforcement encouraging people to stay home, stay safe while they work to clear out the roadways for the debris and different things that are out in this area. Going to send things back to you.
Great, Caitlin, thank you so much. Yeah, certainly seeing the brunt of it down in Charleston and in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, it's been bad there. The good news is there's been no loss of life at this hour because of Hurricane Ian. We're going to take a look at some of the pictures that you all have been sending in and photos that we've gathered on social media.
All right, we want to start in Myrtle Beach, where this was pretty incredible. Now, if you can look there, that is what I believe to be a shrimping boat. I spend a lot of time on the shore that has washed ashore in Myrtle Beach. Police there had to say, don't approach this boat. It is very dangerous. The good news is they didn't think there was anybody on board that boat, Darce, but it is completely floated down the ocean.
I wonder how far shrimping boats go out for that one to have washed ashore.
Washed ashore,
you
yeah.
know. This is Pawleys Island. We've talked about Pawleys Island a lot. Water is beginning to recede a bit, but still extremely high. There is a great amount of debris blocking the roadway. This will be an extended cleanup, and causeways will be closed until all hazards are mitigated.
Yeah, this is why keeping those storm drains so important. Now, this is Pawleys Island again, where we know the famous Pawleys Island Pier has collapsed. This says tidal surge lived up to prediction. Here is a view from Springs Avenue. So thank you for all of these pictures. If you have pictures in your own backyard, we want to see them. Help us tell the story of what's going on in your town. Just join Weather Watchers on Facebook. It's a free group, or you can post the pictures right on News 19 on Facebook as well.
All right, folks, don't go anywhere. Coming up after this short break, we'll take a closer look at your forecast, what we've seen from Ian, what we're expecting to see from Ian, and how things will be clearing up for the weekend. You're watching Friends at 5 on WLTX.
This is from Pawleys Island Police. The end of the Pawleys Island Pier completely collapsed and floating away. This is what we have seen because of Hurricane Ian. Want to get right to meteorologist Corey Smith, and you were explaining that pier then probably got sucked out to sea.
Yeah, that's the thing with these storms. They push all this water. With more on that and what you can expect going forward, let's head over to Efren.
Well, Corey, I'll tell you that the amount of rainfall that
Well, we are seeing the consequences of Hurricane Ian all throughout the Midlands, and one area in particular that's had a lot of trouble today is Shandon. It's a beautiful neighborhood. Of course, it's known for its big, tall trees. Unfortunately, in storms like this, trees like that can be a hazard. So News 19's Rachel Ripp shows us what some businesses and homeowners are dealing with.
Not exactly the way they want to be spending their 2-year anniversary. This business, called The Workout on Divine Street, woke up at midnight to tree damage.
We got a call last night in the middle of the night, right at midnight, and somebody at Zaz actually had seen the tree fall down and it hit the power line, so there was like a little bit of a fire and everything. So I got here by like 12:05 and the fire department came.
Thankfully, no one was injured. This nearly 35-foot tree caving into their roof caused rain to flood the inside of the building. Crews have been on the scene since 7 this morning and have since removed all these tree limbs. Karis Lowen, the owner, has a good attitude about it.
It is what it is, you know, a tree fell on the building, can't go back in time, so we're just trying to do all the necessary steps to protect what we have in there and then figure out how to proceed forward with business.
She says she had no reason to believe this tree was dead.
The oaks, in many cases, look healthy, and they actually have, they're diseased from the inside out. And whenever we get a wind event, whether it be a severe thunderstorm or something like this, there's always that possibility of not only limbs coming down, but the tree itself. And we have a lot of them here in Shandon.
The property manager across the street, Al Floyd, tells me the tree hitting the power line connected to his shopping center took out power to 2 restaurants for only an hour or 2.
Before too much damage could be done, it appears the fire department was able to get here, and they're right down the street. They're just a half a block away.
Only a few blocks down, another tree fell on a home in Heathwood Circle at around 1:15 a.m. The homeowner declined an interview but shared these videos and photos with me, telling me they just finished a 15-month renovation. Reporting in Columbia, Rachel Ripp, News 19 WLTX.
So heartbreaking. And remember, if a tree comes down in your neighborhood, do not call 911. They are busy handling other things. You need to call the power company. So call Dominion Energy, Santee Cooper, Duke Energy, or the electric cooperatives, whoever does your power, and stay 33 feet away from any downed power line. All right, stay with us. We are going to have another check of your forecast and let you know when the rain could move out. It will. Stay with us. All right, Hurricane Ian has made landfall. It is now Tropical Storm Ian, and we are seeing the effects here in the Midlands and waiting for it to move out. Thanks for sticking with us for the second half hour. Friends at 5, I'm Andrea Mock.
And I'm Darcy Strickland. We're going to turn things over to Chief Meteorologist Efren Afonte with the very latest on how Ian will be affecting our weather as we head into the weekend. And from the looks of it, all right, Efren, we appreciate it. That's good news. Thank you so much.
All right, this morning, Rachel Ripp has been out and about, basically going all over Columbia looking for storm damage. And I know she was in Arcadia Lakes earlier tonight where we had 1,600 houses without power this morning. What are you finding tonight, Rachel?
Yeah, so Andrea, I'm actually back at Olive Street and Divine Street where I showed you this tree earlier, this massive tree that hit this business. Now it is a lot different looking now because a lot of those limbs are chopped off. And right now we have some employees on scene. Now they are actually setting up a generator because this business doesn't have any power right now, and they also are setting up a dehumidifier. That's to get that moisture out of the air and get all of that water that was flooded in the business out from earlier. Now on top of the building, as far as the roof, that's obviously important because rain's coming in. They put a plyboard down and then they also put some cement over that roof. So lots of good things here, a lot of patching up that's being done. Now, as far as the tree itself, we don't know when that is going to be moved out. That's going to be up to the city of Columbia. For now, reporting live off of Divine Street, Rachel Ripp, News 19, WLTX.
All right, so happy to see that they have started the process, and we know remediation.
Oh, yeah.
You want to get that water out because it can start to grow mold, and it's a whole process from here for them to clean up. We certainly wish them the best.
We're going to go from Columbia to Sumter now. Becky Buds continues our team coverage where she's seeing flooding in the Gamecock City. Becky.
Darcy, yes, the rain's still continuing to come down in downtown Sumter. I'm on Main Street where the wind continues to blow. You can see awnings on businesses blowing in the wind, these trees bending over from the gusts. And this gutter here, let me show you this gutter, is still flowing with rain as we've seen it come down for several hours now in Sumter. But, you know, they were expecting a little bit more flooding. I'll show you again, these sandbags businesses have lined up in preparation for flooding. They say happens pretty often with these storms. We've actually seen some people braving the weather and taking a stroll on Main Street. I spoke with one couple that was visiting from out of town. Take a listen to what they had to say.
This is our first time out today, so it's not bad. After being cooped up inside all day, it's pretty good.
It feels good to just actually move around some.
But I can tell you, it's pretty chilly out here. It's gusty, and so if you can stay home, stay home. We'll be out here continuing to keep you updated on the latest. But for now, I'm live in downtown Sumter. Back to you.
All right, Becky Budd, thank you so much. Check in with you in a little bit. Just seeing an update now from Charleston Police. Darcy saying that the crosstown, the Septima Parkway, remains totally closed because of flooding. Charleston Police are very busy at this hour, rerouting all traffic to other areas.
That's where we find News 19's Kaylin Hagwood. She is live in Charleston now.
That's right, Darcy. Here in downtown Charleston, this is the scene in parts of the area as that floodwater starts to recede from Hurricane Ian. If you take a look down here, you can see my boot. It is almost halfway up in terms of the rainwater that is here. And as I walked a little bit further down, it actually got even higher up than that. This is not the scene everywhere in Charleston, but in parts, which is why local law enforcement are asking folks to stay off of the roadways. Still, we're starting to see more people starting to get out, drive around, look around. and perhaps okay, but again, we're seeing more and more roads that are barricaded. Again, them telling folks to stay off the roads. The rain, not as heavy as it was earlier, but still a steady flow in this area after Hurricane Ian really came down and kind of hit hard here in Charleston. I want you to hear from one of the residents who was sort of in the storm or braving the storm from her home as it came through. All right, so I apologize for that, guys, as we did not have that sound. But what she shared with me is that she was trying to walk her dog and have her dog have an opportunity to use the bathroom out here. But the dog was obviously a little bit afraid to be coming out and using it. But that was her only time where she wanted to come out and walk her pet because of everything that has been going on. But thankfully, she is safe tonight. She says that she did not feel the need to evacuate. That is the feeling of a lot of people who live in this area. Some did leave that were closer to the Charleston Harbor. But for the most part, folks are staying home, staying safe, and starting to get out and around town. But again, floodwaters here, like what we're seeing right here, a reason to stay inside. And especially if you guys are seeing this in the Midlands, not something you're going to want to walk into. So you want to stay home, stay safe. Reporting live here in Charleston, Kaylin Hagwood, News 19, WLTX.
Kaylin, thank you so much. A lot of cleanup left to be done, not only in the low country,
yes,
but across parts of the Midlands as well. That federal emergency declaration, the governor said that he spoke this morning with President Biden, was able to get that in place, saying that the Biden administration has offered any and all federal help that they can give to South Carolina.
And we certainly are going to need it. Our state is still at the highest alert level that it is, seeing the effects and the aftermath of what Ian did along the coast. So News 19's Nate Stanley has been in the operations room at SCEMD all day, where Governor McMaster has been in and out, and we know the South Carolina National Guard also active. What are you seeing for us, Nate?
Yeah, so right now there's close to 200 people in the operations center. They're working together as the storm continues to move through our state. Earlier today, leaders from state emergency response agencies got together to give advice and warnings on how to deal with what's left of the storm.
These winds have already downed numerous trees and power lines across parts of the state, and these reports should become more widespread as Ian shifts inland and the destructive winds develop.
A call to heed warnings from leaders of the agencies who are actively responding to Ian. Emergency Management, State Highway Patrol, National Guard, Governor, and others all saying they're working to respond to the challenges caused by the storm, including power outages, flooded streets near the coast, and wind damage.
Water on the roads, we've seen photographs of it. The people have been sending us, the mayors and others, and it's still very dangerous, and there's still winds even where there's not much water.
SCDOT says it has 2,100 employees working to help with flooded roads and down power lines across South Carolina. Before the storm even made landfall, DOT said they had to remove 200 fallen trees. For those along the coast who may be dealing with floodwaters, DHEC said stay far away from those hazards.
Please stay indoors. If the winds are blowing hard, be away from windows. Stay out of the floodwaters. The floodwaters not only have a risk of drowning, they can have bacteria, they can have toxic substances. If somehow you do end up in the floodwater, as soon as you possibly can, rinse off, get fresh clothes on. That will help protect you.
The Department of Social Services says 5 shelters remain open throughout the state, with 2 in Charleston, 1 in Jasper County, 1 in Orangeburg County, and 1 in Williamsburg. Governor McMaster also confirmed that he spoke with President Biden this morning and was offered any help needed from the federal level.
They've been helpful and cooperative, and as we all know, when there's a hurricane, there's no politics involved there. And everybody agrees that we want to keep everyone safe and protect people, help people recover as well.
Yeah, so if you see not as many people sitting here as earlier when we were here at noon, but I am told that is because people are coming in and out through shifts throughout the storm as it passes through. That's the information we have now. Reporting from SCEMD, Nate Stanley, News 19, WLTX.
Great. Thank you so much, Nate. And after seeing the damage on Pawleys Island, Darcy, and Myrtle Beach, that federal disaster is going to make a big difference.
Absolutely.
The declaration.
Yeah, and it's going to be a while before it's cleaned up. It's going to be a while. All right, don't go anywhere. We still have more Friends at 5 coming up after this short break.
Like we told you earlier, the Cherry Grove Pier, the Pawleys Island Pier, both collapsed, and this is just down the road, Darcy, in Myrtle Beach.
As you can see, there are folks who have decided to venture out onto the beach, which is just so surprising to me that we still do
Things
technically
like this.
have a tropical system of sorts as it begins to fall apart in our area, and people have decided this is where they want to be. Corey Smith.
Yeah, that's right, Darcy. And let's actually talk about the expect for the rest of your forecast coming up. So let's head things over to Chief Meteorologist Efren Infante.
As we continue to track the remnants of Hurricane Ian, a check of social media will reveal pictures, videos, and lots of hashtags about the storm's impact. USC is tracking that social discussion. News 19's Zoe Henry joins us now live in studio with those details. Zoe.
We're seeing significant flooding and damage in areas across the state. Posts on social media are documenting that storm. Take a look. In Pawleys Island, streets are flooded with stormwater. And in Myrtle Beach, we've got power lines and trees down in the streets. No cars can get through. Now, the University of South Carolina is using these pictures and videos in their social media insights lab, using it with software to figure out what you guys are talking about on social media. Now, the office says this week's topic, of course, is tracking Hurricane Ian. As of noon today, there were more than 17,000 posts relating to the storm. And the key words that you guys were using: South Carolina, expected, flooding, etc., all having to do with that storm. Sarah Johnson says the purpose is to figure out what people are saying about the storm.
You know, some people worried that, you know, their apartments are going to get flooded. People talking about, you know, how this can affect the historic downtown of Charleston.
The software also helps understand the negative, the neutral, and positive comments about the storm. In the studio, Zoe Henry, News 19, WLTX.
All right, folks, don't go anywhere. We've got more Friends at 5 after this short break.